The sound of wedding bells echoed across the city that evening. In a small apartment, a young woman named Lena sat quietly on her bed, staring at a shiny golden invitation card in her hand. The words printed on it seemed to stab her heart again and again. You are invited to the wedding of Ryan and Emily. Ryan, the man she once loved. Emily, the woman he had chosen instead of her? Her fingers trembled as she read it again. It wasn't just a wedding invitation. It was a reminder of everything she had lost. Lena smiled bitterly, whispering to herself, "He moved on, and I'm still here." Her friends had told her not to go. They said it would only hurt her more. But Lena couldn't stay away. Deep inside, she wanted to show everyone, including Ryan, that she was fine, that she had moved on too. But there was one problem. She had no one to go with. That evening, as she sat in her small office cubicle, her thoughts were far away. She worked as an assistant at Gray Enterprises, one of the biggest companies in the city. Her boss, Ethan Gray, was known as the youngest self-made millionaire, handsome, brilliant, but cold as ice. No one dared talk to him unless necessary. But fate works in strange ways. A few weeks ago, Lena had accidentally helped him during an event. She didn't even know he was the CEO then. His car had broken down near her street, and she had helped him fix it, treating him like a normal person. Ethan had been amused by her honesty. Since that day, he seemed to remember her. That memory suddenly flashed in her mind. Her heart started racing with a crazy idea. She opened her phone, scrolled through her contacts, and stared at his name, Ethan Gray. Her fingers hesitated. "This is insane," she whispered. But then she remembered how Ryan had looked at her the last time they met, with pity, as if she was someone he had outgrown. Tears filled her eyes. She wiped them quickly. "No," she said softly. "I won't cry this time. I'll make him see that I'm happy too." Without thinking further, she typed a message. "Sir, can I ask for a strange favor? Can you pretend to be my date for one day at my ex's wedding?" Her thumb hovered over the send button. Every second felt heavy. Then she took a deep breath and pressed send. The message was gone. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought the whole office could hear it. Minutes passed. No reply. She buried her face in her hands, whispering, "What have I done? He'll think I'm crazy." Just when she was about to delete the message, her phone buzzed. It was from him. When and where? She froze. Her eyes widened. Did he just say yes? She quickly replied with the details, her hands shaking. Then another message came. One condition. "You owe me a favor, deal." Lena stared at the screen. Her mind screamed no, but her heart said yes. She typed slowly, "Deal." When she reached home that night, she looked in the mirror. "What have I gotten myself into?" she whispered. But there was a small spark in her eyes, something she hadn't seen for a long time. Hope. She didn't know why a man like Ethan Gray agreed to such a strange request. She didn't know what kind of favor he would ask for in return. But one thing was sure, her life was about to change forever. Outside, thunder rolled through the clouds as if the universe itself was warning her. Nothing about this deal would stay simple. Tone note for YouTube voiceover. Start slow and emotional in the beginning, soft background piano. Raise tension when she sends the message. End with a suspenseful, deep tone as thunder sounds and narrator says, "Nothing about this deal would stay simple." The morning of the wedding arrived like a storm, full of noise, nerves, and questions that refused to leave Lena's head. She stood in front of her mirror, staring at her reflection. Her heart beat faster with every tick of the clock. Today, she would walk into the same hall where her ex was getting married, and she wouldn't walk in alone. A soft knock on her apartment door broke her thoughts. She opened it and froze. Standing there was a tall man in a black suit, sharp and serious. "Good morning, Miss Lena," he said politely. "Mr. Gray sent me. I'm his driver." Before she could respond, he handed her a small white envelope. Inside was a note written in elegant handwriting. "Be ready by 6. "What's inside the box?" Her eyes moved to the large box beside the door. Inside was a beautiful silver gown, simple yet graceful, along with a pair of crystal heels. Lena's lips parted in disbelief. Why would a man like him go through this much trouble? She whispered. All day her mind ran in circles. Would he really come? Would he back out? But when the evening lights began to glow, a sleek black car stopped in front of her building. The door opened, and Ethan Gray stepped out. He looked like he had walked straight out of a magazine cover. Tall, confident, his dark eyes calm yet unreadable. For a moment, Lena forgot to breathe. Ethan looked at her quietly, his gaze scanning her from head to toe. "You clean up well," he said, his tone smooth but serious. Lena blinked, unsure if that was a compliment. Thank you," she managed to say. He offered his arm. "Shall we? We don't want to be late for your ex's big day." A tiny smile formed on his lips, teasing but not cruel. Inside the car, silence filled the air. Lena played nervously with her fingers while Ethan looked out the window. Finally, he spoke, his voice calm and deep. "Are you sure you want to do this?" She nodded. I want to show him that I'm fine." Ethan turned slightly toward her. "Then don't show him. Be fine. That's how you win." The words hit her deeper than she expected. When they arrived at the wedding venue, the crowd turned instantly. The lights reflected off her silver gown as she stepped out of the car beside Ethan. Whispers filled the air. "Who's that? Isn't she Ryan's ex? Wait, is that Ethan Gray, the CEO?" Ryan's smile disappeared as he saw them walking together hand in hand. Emily, the bride, looked furious, but tried to hide it behind a fake grin. Ethan leaned down and whispered near Lena's ear, "Smile, you're the star tonight," and she did. For the first time in years, she smiled, not for anyone else, but for herself. Throughout the evening, Ethan played his role perfectly. He talked to people politely, held Lena's hand gently, and never left her side. To everyone else, they looked like a perfect couple. Rich, beautiful, and deeply in love. But for Lena, every second felt unreal. Who was this man, really? Why was he doing all this for her? At one point, Ryan walked up to them, trying to sound casual. "So, Lena," he said with a forced laugh, "you've really upgraded, huh?" Ethan's eyes turned cold. He looked directly at Ryan and said in a low voice, "I don't believe in upgrades. I believe in treating someone right the first time." Ryan's face turned red. He quickly walked away, pretending to laugh it off. The crowd went silent for a few seconds. Lena couldn't speak. No one had ever stood up for her like that. She looked at Ethan, his face calm, unreadable again, but his eyes. They were softer now. As the night ended, Ethan escorted her to the car. The world around them was quiet, only soft music echoing from the hall. She turned to him and said quietly, "Thank you for everything." He didn't answer right away. Then he said simply, "It's just one day. Lena, don't thank me yet." The car drove away, but her heart stayed behind in that hall. In that moment, where for the first time, she had felt seen again. And deep down, neither of them knew this fake date had just begun something very real. Voiceover tips, background, soft romantic, plus suspense tone. Pause slightly when Ethan enters for dramatic effect. Use warm tone for Ethan's line. Then don't show him. Be fine. End with mysterious music as narrator says something very real had just begun. The next morning, sunlight slipped through Lena's curtains, touching her tired face. She hadn't slept all night. The wedding was over, but her heart was still there, replaying every moment again and again. She remembered Ethan's calm eyes, his confident smile, and the way he held her hand when the crowd stared. It had all felt too real, too natural. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Lunch. 1 p.m. My office. Don't be late. Lena blinked in surprise. Lunch. After last night, she thought the deal was done. Still, she got ready, her mind filled with questions she couldn't answer. When she entered his office, the large glass windows reflected the city's skyline. Ethan was standing there, talking on his phone. His voice was firm, commanding the voice of a man used to being obeyed. But when he turned toward her, his expression softened slightly. "Sit," he said. "You did well last night." Lena sat nervously. "I didn't embarrass you, did I?" He looked at her for a moment. You surprised me. His words made her blink. Surprised you? Yes, he replied simply. You handled yourself with confidence. People believed the story. She smiled shyly. It's easy when your acting partner is good. Ethan almost smiled, almost. Maybe, he said, sipping his coffee. For a few seconds, silence hung in the air. Then he asked, Do you regret it? Regret what? Going there. Seeing him? Lena looked down. Her voice was soft. I thought it would hurt more. But it didn't. Maybe. Because you were there. Ethan didn't respond. He just watched her quietly, his sharp eyes unreadable. Then, without warning, he said, I need you to accompany me tonight. Another event. Another. She asked. Consider it part of our deal. Before she could protest, he was already walking out. Driver will pick you up at 7, he said. That night, Lena found herself once again in a beautiful dress, walking beside Ethan. But this time, it wasn't her ex's wedding. It was a business dinner filled with investors, models, and journalists. Cameras flashed everywhere. Ethan moved through the crowd like a king, calm and controlled. Lena tried to stay close, pretending to be confident. But her heart was racing. One of the guests, a famous model, walked up to Ethan with a fake sweet smile. Ethan Gray, still impossible to reach, I see. Ethan nodded politely. Busy as always. Then the model looked at Lena and said sharply, And who's this? A new assistant? Before Lena could speak, Ethan placed his arm around her waist. She's more than that, he said quietly. She's the reason I'm even here. The room went silent for a heartbeat. The model's smile faded. Lena felt her face warm up. She could barely breathe. After that, whispers followed them everywhere. Is she his girlfriend? Impossible. Maybe she's the mystery woman from the tabloids. Lena's pulse quickened. She leaned closer and whispered, You didn't have to say that. Ethan looked down at her. I don't like people disrespecting what's mine. Her heart skipped a beat. What's mine? Later that night, as they walked to the car, she finally said, You didn't have to protect me like that. He replied calmly, I didn't protect you. I told the truth. The words hung between them like smoke, unclear, heavy, real. The car ride was silent until Lena whispered, Was it still just pretending for you? Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he looked out the window and said softly, Sometimes the line between pretending and feeling is thinner than we think. The city lights reflected in his eyes, cold yet full of something he was trying to hide. Lena turned away, staring at the night sky through the window. Her heart was confused, trembling between fear and something dangerously close to love. That night, both of them lay awake in different worlds, wondering the same thing. What if the game they started was no longer a game? Rain poured over the city that night, painting the glass towers with silver tears. Inside his penthouse, Ethan Gray stood near the window, staring into the storm. His reflection looked back at him, calm on the surface, but broken underneath. The evening replayed in his mind, Lena's smile. The way she looked up at him with trust, the way her eyes softened when he said she mattered. He exhaled slowly. What was happening to him? He had promised himself long ago that emotions were useless. Feelings only brought pain, but this girl, she was different. The next morning, Lena woke up to a soft knock on her apartment door. When she opened it, she saw a small white envelope with no name, just a logo, Gray Enterprises. Inside, a single note. Meet me at Kath Vera. Send PMEG. Her heart raced. She didn't know why he wanted to see her again. Maybe it was about last night's event. Maybe the rumors? When she arrived, the cafe was almost empty. Rain drummed softly on the windows. Ethan was sitting alone in the corner, wearing a dark coat. He looked tired, not physically, but in a way that went deeper. Sit, he said quietly. Lena hesitated and sat across from him. I didn't think you liked coffee shops, she said, trying to lighten the mood. He gave a faint smile. I didn't, until now. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The sound of rain filled the silence. Then Ethan looked up. You asked me once why I agreed to your message, he said. Lena nodded. Yes. You never told me? He leaned back, his voice calm but distant. I had someone once, he began. Her name was Claire. I loved her. I trusted her. But one day, she left. No warning, no reason, just gone. Lena's eyes softened. I'm sorry. Ethan gave a bitter smile. Don't be. She didn't just leave me. She took everything I worked for. Money, contacts, and people I trusted. I learned that day love is a business deal that ends in loss. Lena stared at him quietly. For the first time, she saw not the powerful CEO everyone feared, but a man who had been deeply hurt. You don't really believe that, do you? She asked softly. He looked at her. I do. Lena leaned forward. Then why did you help me? Why agree to pretend with me if you don't believe in love? Ethan's eyes flickered with something unspoken. Maybe because I saw myself in you. You were trying to prove something. So was I. His phone buzzed. He looked down and for a moment, something dark passed over his face. Lena watched him. Bad news? He nodded slightly. Someone I once knew is back in town. He didn't say the name, but Lena saw the way his jaw tightened. She understood. When they stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The air smelled clean, new. They walked silently under a gray sky until Ethan stopped. You should go home, he said softly. This story of ours, it's supposed to end soon. Lena frowned. And what if I don't want it to end? He looked at her, really looked at her, as if her words had touched something buried deep inside him. Then you'll get hurt, he said finally. She smiled sadly. Maybe some people are worth getting hurt for. For a moment, the world went quiet. The city, the noise, the crowd, everything faded. Only two people stood there, both broken in their own ways, yet somehow healing each other's wounds. Ethan looked away, fighting the warmth rising inside his chest. Go home, Lena, he whispered again. Before I forget, this was supposed to be pretend. She turned and walked away slowly. Her heart felt heavy, yet strangely alive. Behind her, Ethan watched, his eyes full of things he couldn't say. For the first time in years, he realized something terrifying. He didn't want to be alone anymore. Days passed after that rainy afternoon. Lena tried to return to her normal life, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart hoped it was him. Every time she walked into the office, her eyes searched for his tall figure. But Ethan Gray had disappeared. Quiet, distant, unreachable. Until one morning, her phone finally lit up with his name. Her pulse jumped. The time has come to return the favor. Be ready by 7 p.m. Just one message. No explanation. She stared at it for a long moment. The favor. She had forgotten about that promise. At 7 sharp, a familiar black car stopped outside her building. The driver opened the door and said, Mr. Gray is waiting. When she arrived at the destination, her breath caught. It wasn't an office or hotel. It was a grand ballroom glowing with lights, filled with reporters and cameras. The banner read, Gray Enterprises Annual Charity Gala. And at the center of it all stood Ethan, confident, elegant, yet colder than she remembered. When he saw her, something in his expression softened, just for a second. You came, he said quietly. You asked, she replied. I owed you, remember? He nodded. Tonight, you'll play the same role. My date. But this time, it's not about your past. It's about mine. She frowned. What do you mean? He didn't answer, just offered his arm. Trust me. As they entered, hundreds of flashes went off. The crowd turned, whispering, That's Ethan Gray, and who's the girl? Ethan smiled politely, acting as if he didn't notice, but Lena felt the tension immediately. At the far end of the hall, a woman was watching them. Tall, graceful, beautiful, and familiar. Ethan's jaw tightened. That's her, he whispered. Claire. Lena froze. His ex. The woman who had betrayed him. Claire walked toward them, her red lips curved in a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Ethan," she said softly, "it's been years." "Not long enough," he replied coolly. Her gaze shifted to Lena. "And who's this?" "You replaced me fast." Lena opened her mouth, but Ethan spoke first. "She's not a replacement," he said firmly. "She's the reason I stopped looking back." Claire's smile faltered. The crowd went silent. Cameras clicked. Lena's heart pounded. She wasn't acting anymore. Claire leaned in, whispering, "You can pretend all you want, Ethan, but I know you. You don't fall twice." Ethan looked straight at her. "You're right," he said, "because the second time, it isn't falling. It's choosing." The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Claire walked away, furious, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. Lena turned to Ethan. "You didn't have to do that." He looked at her. "I told you, tonight's about my past, and you just helped me close it." They stepped out onto the balcony, escaping the noise inside. The city lights shimmered below, calm and endless. For a long time, neither spoke. Finally, Lena whispered, "Was this your favor? Making your ex jealous?" Ethan smiled faintly. "No, my favor was simpler." She raised an eyebrow. "Then what was it?" He stepped closer, his voice low. "Just be here. That's all I needed." Lena's breath caught. There was something raw in his eyes now. Something honest. "You don't have to pretend anymore, Ethan," she said softly. He looked at her for a long moment, then said, almost in a whisper, "Neither do you." Their eyes met, no lies, no acting, no deal. Just two people who had both stopped pretending. From inside, the music grew louder. People called his name. The cameras waited. But for that moment, Ethan didn't care. He took her hand gently, his thumb brushing her skin. "The world thinks I'm here for business," he said, "but they're wrong. I'm here for you." Lena felt tears burn her eyes, but she smiled through them. For the first time, the man everyone saw as stone felt alive the night after the gala, felt strangely quiet. The lights had faded, the music had stopped. And yet the echo of that moment, Ethan's words, still played in Lena's heart. "The world thinks I'm here for business, but they're wrong. I'm here for you." She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face, the softness that had never been there before. But not every story ends with a perfect smile. And deep inside, Lena knew something wasn't right. The next morning, the world woke up to chaos. Her phone buzzed again and again. Dozens of notifications, messages, headlines. Ethan Gray's mystery girlfriend revealed. Who is the unknown girl beside the billionaire? Scandal or true love? Lena's hand shook as she read them. Her social media was flooded. People were tagging her, mocking her, judging her. By noon, reporters were already outside her small apartment. Her heart sank. This wasn't what she wanted. She hadn't asked to become a headline. Then her phone rang. "Ethan, don't open the door," his deep voice said immediately. "I'm sending someone to bring you here." Within minutes, she was in his penthouse again, the same place that had once felt cold and distant. Now it felt like a cage made of glass. Ethan stood near the window, reading the news on his tablet. His jaw was tight, his eyes dark. "I should have seen this coming," he muttered. Lena spoke softly. "They're saying horrible things about you. About us." He looked at her. "I don't care what they say about me. But you," he stopped himself. Her eyes searched his face. "Do you regret it?" He hesitated. "Regret isn't the word. I just didn't want you to get hurt." Lena smiled faintly. "It's too late for that, Ethan. I'm already hurt." For a moment, silence filled the room, heavy, unspoken. Then she took a breath. "Maybe it's better if I leave for a while." His head snapped up. "What?" She looked away. "You've worked too hard for your name. I don't want to ruin it because of me." Ethan took a step closer. "You think this is about reputation? Isn't it?" She asked softly. "You said this started as a deal? Maybe it's time we end it." Her voice broke a little on that last word. Ethan stared at her, and something inside him cracked open. He reached out, catching her wrist before she could walk away. "Lena," he said quietly, "it was never a deal after that first night. You made me feel something I thought I'd buried forever." She turned toward him, tears glistening in her eyes. Then why are you always pushing me away? Because I'm afraid, he whispered. Afraid that if I lose you, I won't recover this time. For a moment, they just stood there, two people, both broken, both scared to love again. Then Lena said softly, "You can't protect me from pain. Ethan, you can only decide whether I'm worth it." His eyes softened. "You are?" He stepped closer until there was no space left between them. The city lights reflected in her tears, and his voice dropped to a whisper. "No more pretending. No more deals. Stay because I don't want a single day without you." Her lips trembled into a smile. "Then stop pretending, Ethan." He smiled, really smiled for the first time. "Deal." And then he kissed her. Not like a man proving a point, but like someone finally letting go of every wall he had built. Outside, the rain began to fall again, gentle and warm. Inside, the two of them stood together, hearts beating in rhythm, no contracts, no lies. No games, just truth. The next morning, when the news continued to spread, Ethan didn't hide anymore. He held Lena's hand in front of the cameras and said, "She's not my secret. She's my truth." The world gasped, but he didn't care. Because for once, Ethan Gray, the man who believed love was just business, had finally chosen something real. And as Lena looked up at him, she realized something too. Sometimes pretending leads you right where you were meant to be all along.